Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Rising Knight podcast, episode 4.0. Today is going to be a special episode, 3x3 of our favorite video games, like favorite video games slash video game franchises. But I'm here with my boy Kiro. How you doing, man?
Hey man, super excited for this episode. I know it's a little cliche, but I figured, fairly early on we can do this kind of stuff and talk about games that we like and everything. We are, after all, kind of a gaming podcast, kind of.
Yeah, well, at least we talk about it, right?
Yeah, right.
And our main channels are definitely like gaming channels, but yeah, I mean, this list was kind of hard to make. I remember we were actually going to do this episode earlier, but I was like, I kind of need time to think about this. I was like, shit, I don't know. Like, the thing is, it's not hard to think of games I like. It's hard to think of like the top 9 games that I love.
Right. And he's like, he has to summarize everything, right? Because there's like so many genres and so many different games that you grew up with that aren't necessarily like the best games. And I want to preface this, like, these, we're not saying these are like the best games ever or anything. Just like games that we particularly like enjoy or love from like childhood or like kind of stuff like that. Because there's like some games that I'm like, yeah, I played this game as a kid, but do I necessarily like love it because I played it as a kid? Because there's like this sense of like nostalgia as well, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so there's like a lot of games that I was like, oh man, I like this game, but will I put it on a list of like one of my favorite games or something like that?
Yeah, there's definitely like a nostalgia factor to like a lot of these. Like, my list is up right now, and I have Sly Cooper, which I'll get to that later. But like, I know Sly Cooper, like, kind of like if you play it now, it'd kind of be like, this game's kind of shit, like mechanic wise, but like it has such a soft spot for me. That's why I put it on there. But I guess we can get started here.
Yeah,
like,
let's go ahead and get started with it.
Me,
go ahead.
Yeah. Borderlands 2, and I'm gonna go crossed. Like, I'll go like horizontally down, zigzag style. But Borderlands 2, I grew up playing Borderlands 1. Borderlands 1 was the first game I ever purchased myself, like as a kid on the PS3, and I absolutely loved it. It like basically is what made me start to really love shooter games. I had some Call of Duty games I played before, but like I really fell in love with Borderlands 1. Just something about the game, you level up, right? It's the first kind of its own. You level up and whatnot, and then also you like basically get new guns. You get, to customize your characters and whatnot. And something about that is just so fucking addictive. And Borderlands 2 is basically just that, but so much more. It has more characters, more guns, more missions. It has a bunch of DLC and everything as well. So like, it just seemed like an endless game. That and playing it with co-op with friends. I've sunk so many hours into this and done so many playthroughs because, like, something about Borderlands 2, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later with, like, Dark Souls and whatnot, it's, like, not... Like, every playthrough is different somehow, in some way. You find some weapon you didn't realize you had. You did some mission, like, Borderlands games always do that. And, like, Borderlands 2 just has the most, because it's so random every single time. And there's different characters to pick through, different orders you could do missions in and whatnot. I think that's why Borderlands 2 is there for me. The replayability, the amount of fun I have with friends just playing this game and just like running through it. It's so good. I don't know, have you played the Borderlands games before?
I played Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2. I spent a lot of times with the second game. Back in college, I used to play it a lot with one of my friends. And my friend actually really loves the Borderlands series too. Actually, you met him. Our friend Falcon that we had on the other podcast. Yeah, he's a massive Borderlands fan too. I gave him a Borderlands 3 shirt for his birthday, actually. Yeah, so we spent a lot of time. I played a lot. I'm just not a very like fan of like shooter games. Like, the shooter cannot be like the main component, and these games like Borderlands are like very shooter heavy. Like that's like the whole mechanic of it is like going places, finding new guns. But what I do like about the game is like every gun, like there's so many fun guns like that do like crazy shit and everything, and the humor on these games is like a 10 out of 10. Like just like random stuff that you find, like the weapons are like these crazy names, or like crazy features that they do. There's like a lot of things that I like about Borderlands. Aside of like, 'cause, like, again, I'm not like a shooter fan, so like that's not what I go for the games. But like the humor, the storytelling, actually the style of the game is pretty cool too. Like I love how it looks, like the cell shading. I think it's one of the first games that started doing like the cell shading.
I think so.
Really well. Like it screams style.
And like so heavily too. Like they put like really big borders on 40. That's 40 Borderlands. That's big borders. But that's like huge like black outline borders and whatnot. And I think that's also part of why the art style like lived on so long. Like I think that's why so many people didn't think like the game looked like shit, because you can go play it now and it still looks like relatively good. And I think that has a lot to do with the cell shading.
Yeah, I agree. Cell shading is not gonna get old.
Yeah, that's true, because it's like its own style. I guess it just doesn't look. I don't know. Just the way it looks doesn't look old for some reason, like pixelated, I guess. But then I guess another reason why I picked Borderlands 2, it's specific as well. It is big. It's the one I played the most and done the most. But also like Handsome Jack as like one of the most biggest and like infamous villains. And that game's story is also really good as well. I love Borderlands 3, but when it comes to the story, man, it's just not quite there. I have to say. But I think that's all I got to say about Borderlands. It still is one of my favorite games. I still play it. That just goes to show. Most of these games I have on my list, I still play from time to time. If not, like, weekly or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
But, let's move on over. I got Kingdom Hearts 2, which I think specifically is, like, I don't know. I think that is the definitive, like, best Kingdom Hearts game. Because, story-wise, it's pretty far up there. It's one of the best ones. I'd say Birth by Sleep is probably a little bit better, but Kingdom Hearts 2's gameplay mechanics and enemies, the whole, you know, different drive forms that it has, the collectibles you do in that, the after-game content if you get the remix versions, having to fight all the organization members again, getting different items like that, getting the final form. It is so good. Like, there is so much more to do. You beat the game's story at, like, level 50, but then, like, after that, you have a whole extra 50 levels to go of just, like, in-game content of fighting other enemies and, like, fighting the organization members again, which is so fun because, like, most of the Kingdom Hearts games, you kind of beat the story and there's just, like, a few things to do. Same thing with, like, most JRPGs. It's like you beat the story and either the game just flat out ends or there's, like, almost nothing else to do.
Right. There's not a lot of pause games.
Yeah, but I feel like Kingdom Hearts 2, I guess like the remix version does it so well. Like, not only is it just fighting Sephiroth as like a hidden boss, but you have like so much extra content for Kingdom Hearts 2. And you really feel like you're powerful in that game. Like, when the drive forms level up and stuff, you really feel like significantly more powerful. Not to mention, like, leveling up in this game increases your health and stuff. They did such a good job with Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts 1 felt a little bit clunky, but I guess that's what you get from, like, you know, Square Enix, they're a JRPG company, right? They made Final Fantasy, and then they're making their first, like, action RPG. So it was a little bit clunky, but I felt like Kingdom Hearts 2, they did such a solid job jumping to that one. I don't know. I know you like Kingdom Hearts as well.
Yeah.
You probably can agree with me.
Yeah, I agree. The second game is my favorite one, too. I think it's one of the best ones that they've done. Definitely was peak Kingdom Hearts, I think, because I think it fell off after that. That's gonna be a controversial statement, but I do seriously think it fell off after that.
Kingdom Hearts fell off.
Man, like, we're only 7 minutes into the video. I'm already
getting controversial. I said Borderlands 3 sucks. Like, the next Kingdom Hearts suck. You know, I just realized on my list, the top 3 games there are all the second iteration.
You know what? I was actually thinking that too. I was like, this sir have like the second, the number 2s in all of the rows are there. You
know what's funny? Uncharted 2 is my favorite as well. I don't know what the hell that is. I don't know.
You know what?
It's just something about their second game. They're just like, they learned all the mistakes from the first one and they make like a really good definitive. But Heart Gold is technically
the second game too, right?
Oh my god, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
actually.
It is pretty funny.
But yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2, dude, it's so. I love Birth by Sleep as well. Don't get me wrong. I think Birth by Sleep is a way better story. It's just the gameplay mechanic. It's a PSP game, so it's just kind of not all there, unfortunately. But Kingdom Hearts 2 is so good. If you're a person who likes action JRPGs, if you like the Final Fantasy VII remake, it's not exactly the same as this, but it's fairly similar, like combat. Because Kingdom Hearts 3's engine, I believe, is where they like worked on that and the remake at the same time, so it's kind of similar in some ways. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts I highly recommend. A lot of people say the story is like too convoluted and crazy. It's really not that bad. It's a JRPG. I mean, you just gotta play them to understand them.
Yeah,
but it's not too bad.
It's the way that they did the storytelling that is a little bit. I can see like why some people think it's confusing. It's not confusing. It's just the way that they approach the beginning of the game and then like the middle of the game, because it requires you to know to have played other games like Kingdom Hearts 1 or the Rechain of Memories. So you kind of have to know what's going on from the get-go, because the second game doesn't really pull any punches or even really like bother explaining anything. I think that's where like Kingdom Hearts kind of fell off for me, because it's not really like, I don't think the story is complicated. I actually think the story is pretty simple, but what happens is that the games never take, because the games don't come out like every year, you know. It's not like Pokemon, like literally like there's such a big gap in time between game and game. But do you really remember like the important parts of like Kingdom Hearts 1 or like the Rechain of Memories or like the Birth by Sleep, or like it's like you have to have played like so many other games to like jump into the second game or like the third game, that it doesn't bother like reminding you things. Like it could just have like and 3 did that, where you could literally go back and like watch like cutscenes and stuff like that. But who the fuck cares about that? You could really have like characters in like a really good way, like be like, oh, remember when this happened or something like that, you know, so like they can tell you about it, opposed to like literally have to manually go and watch cutscenes from previous games.
Yeah, well, I guess like a good thing is like there is the HD remasters, which help out a little bit. Like 1.5 and 2.5 HD remasters is pretty good. It's like 6 games. So if you're really wanting to know if you like Kingdom Hearts, get that. You know, you'll go through 1, all of the additional games up to 2. So playing Birth by Sleep, which is after 2. So I don't know. I think it's pretty good. Usually it's like $20 or less for 6 Kingdom Hearts games. Not too bad.
Yeah,
that's how I recommend.
It's a pretty good deal. I agree.
Yeah, I played on my PC. They actually run really nice on PC, honestly. But let's move on over to Dark Souls 2. So I know
really shocked about Dark Souls 2.
I know a lot of people don't like this one, and I've played the other ones. I played Dark Souls Remastered right before Elden Ring, and I beat Elden Ring. I pretty much beat Elden Ring. I have like one place left to go. It's not because it's too hard. I just literally forgot. It's like so much stuff happened during that time. Dark Souls 3 I beat with friends, so I haven't played Dark Souls 3 pretty much on my own, which I eventually plan to do, so I might change opinions at that point. I've played Bloodorne about halfway through, then I played Sekiro a decent bit, so I need to beat Sekiro, because I might think Sekiro is my favorite From Software game. I'm not too sure yet, but Dark Souls 2, for some reason, I don't know, man. I think the Dark Souls Remaster and Dark Souls 2, honestly, are like probably my favorites. Weirdly enough, I don't know what it is with like old RPGs that I just love so much. I don't know what the hell that is, but Dark Souls 2 was like the first time I really ever like picked up a Souls game and just went, I'm not listening to anybody. I'm not gonna like look up anything. I'm just playing it. Which is the absolute best way to play like a From Software game. Like, don't look anything up. Learn the stuff yourself. It feels so much better when you beat a boss that you never looked anything up for. That you just flat out learn, like,
you know what,
trial and error.
That's true. I think that's the magic of Dark Souls, or like even Elden Ring. When you are kind of stuck in a boss, because this is gonna happen. There's like, unless you're like a superhuman, I really have like 100% confidence that like maybe 99% of the players will get stuck at some point in some boss, or even like some chump, because there's sometimes like certain enemies that will kill you even more times than like regular bosses and everything. Like the armored dudes with the shield, they're my weakness. Like I do not know how to parry in these fucking games to save my life. And like I remember, I think it's in Dark Souls 2. There are these enemies that are like big. They're very early on in the game. In like that castle area, like you go into the village and then you get out, and they're like big motherfuckers. They're not small, and they're not
like a stick, right?
Yeah, they have like a stick. Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, those dudes are rough.
Yeah, dude. So I'm like, I hate those.
That reminds me of like Sin's Fortress. You remember if it's Sin's Fortress in Dark Souls 1? I don't know if you remember. It's like the snake people, and they shoot lightning bolts at you.
I hate those too. Yeah,
and there's like the big like pendulums that like have blades on them, and you have to walk across like a 1 foot fucking
like poison area. Is that where there's like a poison area? Like literally, like is it like a swamp type of thing?
I like below it is, yeah, but it's like a just a big fortress. There's swinging pendulums, and you have to walk like basically on a tightrope, and they're shooting lightning bolts at you the whole time.
You know, the worst part about that is you can't you can avoid enemies, but there's so many of them. Like even if you avoid 1 or 2, there's like 3 or 4 waiting for you at the line.
You kind of have to just like. You just gotta learn. That's the best thing. And like when I beat Sin's Fortress, I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I was like, "This finally, I did it." And like Dark Souls 2 has, I think, the most bosses out of any Dark Souls game. They're not all as hard though. There's some easier ones. Dark Souls 2 has, I think, 3 DLC, which I think is the most as well. And I played like all of it, and I loved it. And I like just Dark Souls 2 was like the first time I really played all the way through. And I don't know, I think it just had a soft spot for me because I played all the way through and I streamed it, but like nobody told me what to do, which was nice, which is like so fucking rare, you know, especially playing like a Souls game and streaming it. People are gonna tell you what to do, but like I loved it. Dark Souls 2 for me was just so good, and I think Dark Souls 2 also was a little bit different because they did have different like directors for that. It wasn't the same guy because he was making Bloodborne whenever Dark Souls 2 was going on. He was doing his own thing, so they had different directors, right? And then they brought the guy back for Dark Souls 3. So Dark Souls 2 was a little bit different, and the way they went and made it different, they made it more fantasy-like. So it was like more like D&D, because like there's like dwarves mining, there's like the fog places, and I liked how like more, I don't know, like fantasy-based Dark Souls 2 is. I feel like most of the other ones is like kind of like more reality like. I don't know. I think Elden Ring
realistic.
Yeah, Elden Ring kind of isn't. It's a little bit different, which I like. I think Elden Ring's great too.
They do, although they're all like Dark Souls 1, 2, 3. Like they are like very different on like tone. Like all of them are like completely different. Like sure, they have a lot of the same mechanics and they play obviously very similar, but they all have like their own tone. They are completely different in like certain aspects. It's actually very interesting how like they managed to like make a series that plays similarly, but they're like still very significantly different, and you can see an improvement in like the gameplay and everything. Because like I want to say like Dark Souls 1 and 2 and Demon Souls, they're kind of like slow in a sense, like the gameplay is kind of slow. But then like 3 and like Bloodborne and Sekiro, they're like super fast, like so many things happening really fast, and they're pretty interesting games. I really love the whole series. I really wanted to put Dark Souls 3, but we have a limited amount of space, so I'm happy that you put Dark Souls somewhere there. So cause I was like, I hope he does, because I put another Souls games in my game. We'll go over that in a minute there. Yeah,
we'll dive into that. Which, and of course I know what he put. I kind of get it, but kind of don't at the same time. We'll get into that later.
It's okay. I'll explain why I put that one, and why I put 2 Souls in my.
Yeah, you did.
I did. I wasn't thinking about that. I was like, oh wait, I put 2 Souls games in here. Yeah, I really like Souls, like even more than Mega 10. I know, it's shocking, right?
Speaking of Mega 10.
Speaking of Mega 10, what about the
Persona 5 Royal? Okay, but I know Persona 5 Royal, of course, but no, listen. This also was sort of like a similar thing with like Dark Souls 2. It's like it was my first Mega 10 game. Like I had P4 kind of. I had it on the PS3, but it was kind of a bad experience because I was playing it like that. You know, it wasn't as fun playing, you know, it like that. And I didn't have Golden. It wasn't Golden. It was just base P4, and I didn't like how I didn't have. Really, it was the music for me. I didn't realize the endings were like that much different. So I didn't like that. But Persona 5 was like the first one that I really like a turn-based JRPG other than Pokemon that I delved into and fell in love with. It was the first one where I really started to like it. And I think Royal, the reason why I put that on there is because the added stuff for Royal is good. I know sometimes Kasumi and some of the extra bits in that sort of don't flow well with the story, but I think overall having the third semester and having the better ending, all the extra stuff it adds, I think it negates sort of the negative stuff that Royal does to the game. It does affect the story a little bit, but I think overall, I think Royal is better because of what it adds to the game as a whole, which I think, you know, I like that a lot. The DLC is also good too. You have the P3 stuff, P4 stuff, where you battle those, you know, dudes. You battle also the twins in that one as well. There's different things that, you know, enhance the gameplay, which I really like. So I think P5R, I think that just got to be why I put that there, because I just fell in love with that game. I really did. It did a lot for my YouTube channel as well, you know. Yeah, even though I think the Persona 4 Golden video was like the one that did me super well when it was announced for Steam, but like Royals kept my YouTube channel around. I've played the game multiple times, base, P5, and Royal, so like it just has a soft spot for me. And also, it really is still just a very good game. Like, if you want a good modern JRPG, if you haven't played P5, I don't know what you're doing, like, to be honest. It's worth it.
Sure. Understandable. I told you right before we started, I'm glad that you put Persona 5. Because I thought about putting Persona 5 because I wanted Joker in the thumbnail. I'm like, that's gonna be like a clickbait thumbnail, right? But I was like, because I had like the picture in my head of that particular, the way I did the thumbnail and everything. I was like, I really want a Joker, but I don't want to put Persona 5 in my favorite games. Because I like Persona 5. It's really a good game. But I'm like, there's so many other games that I want to put, and I love Persona so much. And I'm like, do I want to put Persona 5? And I'm glad you put it. So I was like, at least we get to talk about it, and it's a great game. I really like it. Persona 5 Royal also like has like some additional stuff. Like, I love Maruki. He may be one of my favorite antagonists.
He's so good.
The
By the
entire,
way, rest in peace.
Yeah, like rest in peace. He is great voice actor, and he's a great character too. So I really love the character, and
I fully agree, dude. And in the third semester, just like base P5 story definitely lacks a lot. Like, I understand why people say like P4's story is better and has better characters, which I think I do agree. P4 has better characters. You know, like, sure, I can go with that, but like, I think Royal, just the bit that it adds to the story, like, really makes it where it's like P4 and P5, their stories, to me, it's kind of hard for me to decide which one's better because of Royal, what it adds to the ending. Like, the third semester, that whole bit is so good. Like, it really wraps things up in a really nice way. I know like people like P5's ending, but like, I think just Royal's ending is just that much better. I think the impact of what you do as a character, and especially your decisions there at the end of the game, matter way more than like P5. Because P5, no matter what, you kind of end up with that ending almost no matter what. Like, there's other ones, but it's just like, it's kind of that. But like, you get two very major different endings in Royal depending on what you do, which I really love.
Totally agree. So, that it really does give you like a different perspective on like the characters and the storytelling and everything.
Yeah, which I think Royal really just boosted up that much. But let's move on over. More Mega 10. So Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. Once again, similar to like P5, I went into this not expecting a lot and got a whole lot out of it. I think that's just the best way I play games. Like Dark Souls 2, Persona 5 Royal, and Nocturne. Like, most of these is just like, I jumped into it, didn't expect anything, didn't look anything up, I just played it. It was so fucking good. I streamed this whole game. I I can't remember what's the ending, like the true demon ending. I did that, so I did all the Kalpas and everything. Like, I pretty much did like all the gameplay stuff. I reached level 99 or whatever. I did that all in the first playthrough. So like, I really sent it on my first playthrough of SMT3, and I absolutely loved it. Something about it being like an older JRPG as well, I maybe like really appreciate kind of what we have now in JRPGs, but still, I thought this game was pretty good. The encounter rate is a little bit high, but if you play Pokemon, you kind of get it, you know? Not the newer ones anyway, but like the older ones. Yeah. So like, I still loved this game. The environment and the story, I think, are the like leading factors into why this game is so good, because running around in this game, even in like the overworld and like the like actual like places that you go into, they're so immersive and kind of creepy. There's like a horror factor to SMT3 that I love.
Yeah, it has like a really good atmosphere. Like, how to explain? It's really like a lonely game. Like, you're by yourself. Yeah. Like, they're the only human. Of course, there's like some humans that you meet along the way, or like people that you know and everything. But in reality, you are with all the other demons, and you're kind of like walking around your own. It's like, it's so lonely and like solitary, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
But the atmosphere is like so unsettling. You know, like you're walking around and you see like famous landmarks in Japan and everything. But it's just you and other demons, right? So it kind of gives you like that feeling of like being in like a bizarre place. It's really interesting the way that they managed to do it, because it's a PlayStation 2 game, right? And like, so it's not a very good looking game. Like, I'm sorry, I know some people are gonna get mad, but it's a PlayStation 2 game. Come on, guys, it's not like it's anything. But but they do with like the atmosphere and like the story in the game is very interesting, because it's not so much in your face, but when you have like those big moments, it really strikes you. Like, every time that you see, like, for example, I felt so bad about the what are those called, the mannequins? Yeah, I felt so bad for them, because they're like the trash demons, right? Nobody likes them. And like, and I feel so bad for them every time you see them on screen, and like they're being abused by other demons, or like,
dude, like, they creeped me out, but then at the same time I was sad for them. I was like, no games made me do that, dude. It's so weird. Yeah, it's so strange. I don't... But and like you were saying, like, you're alone in this game. And similar to, like, Dark Souls 2, where it was like, in this game, they don't hold your hand at all. They're like, you're here, like, figure it out. Like, you find the story. You find the lore. You make up certain bits in your mind. Like, you find your pathway through, and this game has multiple endings that like actually really matter, you know, depending on what you do and what you say. So this game, like, unlike SMT5, well, here we go again, we're gonna get more fire for this, but like SMT5 is like super linear. There's some open world-ish bits, but to be honest, it's like you need to go here and that's all you can do. That's all it tells you to do. Where SMT3, it's like, there's multiple areas, you just sort of figure it out. You go along, and you find your way there. And I love that. I think, like, if you really pay attention and play this game, though, you don't get lost. Like, I found a lot of people saying, like, they got lost, or they didn't understand how to get through the game. It's like, you talk to the characters, you talk to the people in the environments and whatnot, you find your way through.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you're, like, talking to the NPCs and, like, kind of getting yourself in the story, you will know where to go, because the characters tell you. They're like, oh, there's a bunch of demons gathering on that area. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess I must go over there, right? Or like, oh, the mannequins want to live in this other area, and you're like, oh, I have to go to Asakusa to meet the mannequins or whatever. So like, literally every time like that you're talking to NPCs, like other demons along the way, they're literally telling you where to go. You just kind of have to have those conversations with them. I remember, for example, there's a part where you go into like an underground area, and one of the guys is like, oh man, I wish I had this item to be able to see in the dark, you know? And you're like, okay, whatever. You walk in and it's like super there, you can't see anything. You're like, well, I guess I better buy that item, right?
Like, shit, he was right. but I love that, because it's like, it's realistic. Like, so many games like tell you exactly where to go, but this game doesn't. I love that. Because like the game's environment and the game's already immersive, it makes it even more immersive. It feels like everything you're doing is like it matters, and you actually feel powerful like you're making a difference. So
yeah, especially like as you get on in the story, because obviously you're really higher level, right? But you don't really feel it. But when certain things happen in the story, you're like, dude, I used to be a weak demon, like a weak like human demon, but now I'm doing a little crazy shit, you know, like even at that level, it gives you like that power trip, especially as the game progresses and everything.
For sure, yeah. But I think that's it for SMT3. That's enough stroking SMT3 for now, I guess. But again, if you love JRPGs, SMT3, you gotta play it, dude. Play the remaster. I don't think the remaster is all too bad. I really love that game. Moving on, Pokemon Heart Gold. If you don't know what the Heart Gold is, it is a remake of Gen 2 that they had for the I think just the regular DS. That game, honestly. Right. Took so many summers for me. It just constantly replaying it. I would replay that game over and over again. Like, I know that game inside and out, and I think why I love Heart Gold so much is because the remaster, I think it's done very well. It's nice because like Gen 1 and 2, you know, on the Game Boys and whatnot, visually it's hard to look at, but I still think those games are very solid. Like, I beat Gen 1 for the first time last year on my 3DS because they have like a backwards compatible thing, and I still loved it a whole lot. But like Gen 2's remaster is so nice. The reason why I like Gen 2 so much as well is because Gen 2, like, you go through all of Gen 2 stuff, you go through all of Johto, and then you go back to Kanto then, and you do all the gyms there. So you do 8 gyms, get all 8 gyms, and like get all of the badges there, and then you do the Elite Four, and then you go back to Gen 1, be all 8 gyms there, get all 8 badges there, and then fight the Elite Four again at like a higher level, and they have more Pokemon and stuff, so it's like an even bigger challenge. And then after you do all of that, you go up to like this place in Victory Road where you go all the way to Mount Silver and you fight the character from Gen 1, which is like Red or whatever, so like the character Ash is kind of based off of, and you beat him, and as far as I know is he's still like one of the highest, if not like the highest, like level Pokemon, and like you fight from like an NPC in a Pokemon game, because he's got like level 80 Pokemon, like level 80 Pikachu, I think he's like a level like 80 like Charizard and stuff, so it's like a super big challenge to fight him. And you see the end of Team Rocket go down in that game too. So I just think a combination of all of that, especially with Heart Gold, just making it all look better and play better, I think that's why it's there for me.
I think Heart Gold is where it peaked with remasters, because it's such a good looking remaster too. Like it still looks pretty 18-bit, you know, like, because by the time that the DS was out, you could make like 3D graphics and stuff like that. But at that point, Pokemon stuck with that like 16-bit style and everything. I'm knocking on the new remasters for the Pearl and
Brilliant Diamond, Shiny Pearl.
I honestly really hate the way they look, and I understand it's like a creative choice because of the art style. I don't care. Heart and Gold, like Heart Gold, and they nailed it. They nailed the style. It's still a remaster, but they still have like the 3D, 2D, like 18-bit looking characters and everything. I love that. It's so good. I love that. And they also did it on Fire Red and Green Leaf. They also did the same thing. Like they also have like that Game Boy looking style. Of course they're like Game Boy games, I think, but like they have like that art style, and I love it. I wish the Pokemon games will have more of that, especially if they're trying to do like a remaster thing. I just like that style a lot. They could do it, because you know, like, what if they did like the HD 2D graphic things that they do with the Square Enix games,
or Octopath Traveler.
Yeah, like Octopath Traveler, that kind of thing. That would be so cool. I would be down if they did it like that.
I'd love that, bro. I think, because like, think about what's next. Like, they did Diamond and Pearl, and Heart Gold's part of that Gen 4. I would love to see like a good pixel like remaster of Heart Gold on the Switch.
Yeah,
I would die for
like
that,
Nintendo. Look, go in that direction. I think that's a way better direction. Whatever they're doing with like the new Pokemon games and everything. Like I don't know if it's just Pokemon or Nintendo, but I don't like the art style direction they're going into. It just doesn't look good to me. Like it doesn't. I guess I'm more adult, I guess. So like that art style doesn't really appeal to me. I'm sure maybe some children are like, oh, they look good, I guess, or something. But like looking at Pokemon hardcore fans and everything, I don't really see a lot of love into like the newer generations and everything. So I don't know. I would like a different art style altogether, and I think the 3D HD style, like 18. What do they call it? HD 16-bit style, 18-bit style. I don't know what it is called.
The Final Fantasy one.
Just like the ones that we just talked about, the Octopath Traveler. Like they're HD.
I don't know.
But like obviously they are like retro looking. I don't know what they're called.
Weird because it's like kind of 3D, but it's like not. It's weird.
Yeah, exactly. But, like it's definitely HD and it has like layers to it, but it's definitely still like a retro looking game. I don't know how they managed to do it so well, but it looks super cool. Anyway,
this video is really good at that.
We dwell too much on this subject, so if you want to move on,
that's true. Let's move on over it. Sly Cooper and the Thievish Raccoonus, and I like the first one more, and I don't know, the first one and the second one I love a lot, but the first one you're just like Cooper and you're just playing as him doing missions. It's one of I still think one of the best platforming games because you're doing a lot of stealth like stuff and platforming at the same time. So you're crawling on pipes, you're going up ropes, you're platforming against different things, you're going on top of roofs and stuff. The gameplay is so fun and the characters are some are pretty goofy, some are more serious. Like Cooper's the cool one, you have Bentley who's the nerdy one, Murray's he's the big kind of dumb one, I guess, but he's super strong, right, or whatever. So I don't know, I feel like when you're playing Sly Cooper you just get a really good experience. It's the developers loved Japanese culture. They're the people who make Ghost of Tsushima years and years later, and I kind of get that vibe from it, weirdly enough, but they do such a good job at having the story and all the different environments. They're all so good. Sly Cooper does one of the best with platforming. This is during the time when they were, I guess Jak and Dexter and Ratchet and Clank were out and stuff. So there was a lot of big, I don't know what it was, during the PS2 era there was a ton of animal creatures that talked like humans and stuff that were in platformers. I think it was just easier to animate animal talking creatures. I don't know what that was, but there was a ton of them, and I always thought Sly Cooper was the best because the voice acting was on point. It wasn't always super goofy all the time. Sly Cooper felt a little bit more mature to me, honestly, and I love that. Jak and Dexter kind of is too, but Sly Cooper did it in such a good way. I felt and this first Sly Cooper game is done super well also. Great story as well. He's a kid, he's an orphan. Because his parents are murdered by this evil gang of 5 or 6 dudes, and then you go to all these different areas, 5 different areas where they're different platformers. It's all around the world, and you fight to get pages of the Thievish Raccoon book back, and also basically just to avenge his parents and everything. It's it's such a unique story, such a fun story. Great platform, great gameplay. The voice acting is good. It's Sucker Punch Entertainment. Like I said, they're the people that make the Infamous games, Ghost of Tsushima games. This is where they really got their start. And Sly Cooper it does it so well. And it's one of the first games I ever played as a kid from completion. Because this was I don't know, it's 2002 or something. So I was 6 or maybe 7 when I had these games, and I played it all the way through to completion. Like I said, one of the first games I ever played from start to finish. So that's my Sly Cooper bit.
Nice. I have nothing to say about that game. I never played it.
Yeah, it's a little bit obscure, so I don't blame people for not knowing it, to be honest.
All right. So what's your number 8?
So this one I think you have played, I assume. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. So this was the last in the Budokai series anyway to be 2D. Or 2.5D, right? It's the later Mortal Kombat games. It's still side to side, but it's still 3D, models or whatever. Budokai 1 has a good story, but it's just the Dragon Ball story. But it does a good job at retelling it. But Budokai 3 was the first in order to get from battle to battle, you had to fly around as Goku in the Dragon Ball world. And something about that was so fun. And every single character had their own story mode where you would fly around and actually go to battle in the actual open world stuff. And something about that was super cool to me because you got to actually fly around as the characters, right? They didn't just fight the entire time, you know? There's different dialogue, you go to different cities. Like, for instance, you could go, like, find Bulma and she'd give you a dragon radar. And you can fly around finding the Dragon Balls and summon the dragon and stuff. So you got, like, a really good just Dragon Ball experience from Budokai 3 because it's not just a fighting game. But when you did do the fighting stuff, it was still really good. This has a really, really huge roster of characters. It goes from Dragon Ball all the way up to GT. So you can have, like, really base Kid Goku all the way up to Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Like, even, like, Super Saiyan 4, you know, Gogeta, Fusion, all that stuff, all the crazy shit is still in this game, and I love it.
It's so, like, cool.
If you want, like, a good 2.5D fighting game and you love Dragon Ball, like, either of those, Budokai 3, I definitely recommend. Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is pretty good, too. Has a lot of characters as well, but really good. Raging Blast 2 is pretty good as well.
I wasn't a fan of the Tenkaichi series because they're, like, 3D, and I don't like Dragon Ball 3D games. Like they don't click with me as well. But the 2D games, especially like Budokai 1 and 2, 2 and 3, I really love them. They're like pretty good.
Oh, dude, they're so good.
I spent so many hours with the second game. That thing is the one that I play the most. And I love that in order for you to do the fusions, you actually had to like do like combos to make.
You had to actually try.
Yeah, you actually had to try, and you could mess them up too. Like you could have like a skinny Gogeta, like the wrong one, or you could do like crazy ones too. Like there was a one in the second game that you could do with Goku and Hercules.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That's like what Ten Yansha too. Tien and Yansha.
Yeah, exactly. You could do that one. You could do like.
You could have Super Boo absorbing Piccolo as well.
Yeah, exactly. You could do that too. Yeah, and he'll have like the Piccolo cape thing. Yeah.
You'd have a moveset too.
It was really interesting how they did that game. It had so many character like fusions and everything. Like you said, Budokai 3 had like probably one of the biggest rosters for like a PlayStation 2 game.
Yeah, dude.
It had such a big roster of characters. It was super fun.
That game, Tenkaichi 3, and probably Raging Blast 2 are the biggest rosters. And it's so enormous. I love when they do, like, what-if scenario type stuff, too. Like the different fusions. Like, that never happens, but they do it anyway. And they put it in the game. It's so cool. Like, I think Budokai 3 also has... I can't remember the name of it, but it has Frieza's kid in it, which is, like, a what-if sort of thing, too, as well. And it just, like, kind of looks like Frieza, but different. Really strange, but still, they have that in there. In Budokai 1, they have Cell absorbing Krillin, and it looks like a small version of Cell that looks like Krillin. It's it's really gross looking.
Yeah.
It's disgusting, but, like, it's there. The Raging Blast series have Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta and Super Saiyan 3 Broly, which never happens, but they're just in the game, which I love. I like when they do shit like that, but... Yeah, that's
the Dragon Ball games. They had a lot of fan service. I think that's the kind of fan service that I like looked in those games. That's the kind of stuff that I wish they added into like the new Dragon Ball games, because that doesn't really exist on the new games. It's all about DLC and like that kind of stuff, and I hate that. I'm like, let us have like that creative freedom of like doing like crazy fusions, that kind of stuff. Now you have to buy the characters.
Yeah, like Xenoverse, I guess, is the only one. The whole game's a what-if thing. Other than that, yeah. Like, Kakarot is really just straightforward, just the Dragon Ball story.
But even in Xenoverse, you have to buy DLC for, like, the characters and stuff.
Oh, yeah, for, like, new characters thing, yeah. Well, especially if, like, they add new stuff, right? Because, like, Battle of Gods wasn't completely done. Super wasn't completely aired all the way yet, so, like, as soon as those characters came out, it was like, they're like, ooh, money. New characters we got out of the game.
Yeah. It's cool, but it kind of sucks at the same time. I can see like both perspectives, right? Like, oh, that's a lot of like cool characters to add into it, but also it feels kind of shit that you have to buy them and everything.
It does. Like, I remember when Hit came out, they only showed him for a little bit. Like, he didn't, like, in the show, they didn't show his powers yet. They just knew he was super powerful. He fought like one battle, but he didn't transform or do nothing pretty much, right? Because he beat whoever it was like almost instantly, and they put him in the Xenoverse 2 game, but his like moveset was like really bare. It didn't have like anything. Like they just kind of like made up moves for him. And then they had to come out with a second version of him later that actually had his moveset. So it just goes to show they just jumped on it super quick.
Yeah, they just saw the design and were like, okay, make up something for it. Let him be in the game or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it just seemed like they weren't ready for it. But moving on, my last one here, and I had to do this one. I was thinking, I have my solo games, like Kingdom Hearts is a solo game. I have my Dark Souls games. I have like my big immersive games. I have JRPGs, platformers, Pokemon, my fighting game, my 2D fighting game, everything. So I was like, what is the one multiplayer game that I play so much? Like I said, I used to play Call of Duty quite a lot back when. I love the zombie mode more than anything, but like the more I realized it, like what multiplayer game did I enjoy the most? And I think it has to be Overwatch. Something about Overwatch, dude, is like it's just a fun game to play, especially with friends.
Right, it is. It is addictive too. Like you can spend like hours on it.
Dude, it's so crazy. Like there's also different matches. There's custom matches. You can play, just quick play, just quick fast games. There's role queue, competitive. There's a bunch of different characters. And I think the thing that Overwatch does like best out of any other multiplayer game is that the characters actually like are good. Like most of these Call of Duty games, you have like operators, whatever, and it's such a generic voice, generic character, like no personality. They're just sort of just like it's just like a soldier, but it's a soldier who's a girl and wears a helmet. It's like okay, that's so much different compared to other soldier who's a dude and wears a helmet. It's like there's no difference hardly, right?
Yeah.
But like Overwatch has so many different characters from all over the world, all speak different languages. I mean, the game's in English, but they had different quotes, and sometimes they say in different languages and stuff. Like, it's so good how they do that. And Diva, I met the voice actress for her at a convention here, and she signed a Pop Funko that had Diva in her mech, and I got to take pictures with her and everything. You check out my Instagram, but I just loved it so much, and I fell in love with that game. Like a lot of people in my family also play it. My brother loves it, so like. I just constantly kept playing. I've been playing Overwatch 2 because the beta and everything, and they just made Diva that much better. She has much better lines and everything. The voice acting's good, the character's good, the gameplay design's good. I guess the only thing like I could say bad about it is like there really hadn't been a lot of like new Overwatch stuff in the last year. Like it was pretty dry, but I think that's because they were developing
the second game, right?
Yeah, they were developing this one, which with this one has like 5 new maps. 2 new characters. Apparently there's like another tank on the way and 2 support characters that might be coming out next year. Like they went full force with this game, and it's going to be free to play October 4th. It sounds like I'm selling this game, but like it's just that good. It
sounds like you're doing an ad for them.
It really is just that good. And I know Blizzard's like under fire, but they changed management and everything.
Yeah.
Like they fired the dude who was the lead over, like that guy. McCree's name changed to Cassidy. So like it seems like they're really cleaning things up, and a lot of people were like, I don't want to buy Overwatch again. Well, it's like, it's free. It's going to have a battle pass, sure. But, I don't know.
I guess we'll see.
It's good.
Yeah, I like Overwatch. I played a lot of it last year, actually. Or the last few years. I haven't played much this year, but I enjoy playing Overwatch. It's fun. It's just kind of like... I like playing just like... having a few drinks, play, and you're right. Yeah. That's the thing that I like about like games like these or League. Like there's a lot of characters, and they all have like their own personalities, and they give them like background stories too and everything. So it's not just like you're playing the game like a mindless shooter. You have like characters and like the relationship with the other characters, or like like how their attacks or like the weapons. Like how that the style of like every character has like something to do with their storyline and everything. So it's not just like a shooter. There's so many shooters out there that is just like Call of Duty, right? It's like it's a soldier, right?
Soldier A, soldier B,
yeah. Like whatever generic name you want to give them, but like this is different because it does have like that personal level of like interesting characters.
And there's a YouTube channel too, and like most of the characters have like a 20 or 30 minute like animated movie for them. It's like in 3D. It's like done with the Overwatch character models and everything. And most of them have movies, so like you can get even more like background stuff for them. But yeah, that wraps up my list. Borderlands 2, Kingdom Hearts 2, Dark Souls 2, Persona 5, Royal, Shin Megami Tensei 3, Nocturne, Heart Gold, Sly Cooper, Budokai 3, and Overwatch. I think that sums it up. That does about everything from all the genres that I'm kind of into. Like obviously, there's more games like later. Like we'll just see when we get to yours. Like there's one that I think I definitely like. There's like a lot of close contenders
games,
for
like a lot of games. Yeah. I had a lot of games. A lot of the ones that you were that you brought in were games that I thought about, like Shin Megami Tensei 3, which you put. I actually had it on my list, but when I saw that you put it, I took it out. I took it out and put something else. No, it's because I figured like if we're gonna talk about 9 games each, we should talk about different games, right?
That's a good
so
point.
there were some that I had there that I took out that were like, okay, well we have, you're already talking about it. I had Kingdom Hearts 3, Kingdom Hearts 2 as well. I was like, okay, I can't put this one, I'm gonna like that was like one of the ones that I could change, and I did, and I put some other stuff because I figured, if I want to talk about different games, not the same ones that you just talk about, and I try to do it not as nostalgic as possible, but there are some games that you grew up with that are just like ingrained in your bones.
Yeah, and like so, nobody's gonna love it as much as you did, right?
Yeah, or at least like in a sense, like I feel like maybe some people will resonate with like the way that I love certain games and everything, and they'll like maybe see like my perspective or like why I like a certain game or something. But yeah, speaking of that, let's go ahead and kind of jump into my list of the games here. So
I'm excited for this.
I have Devil May Cry 3, which is very interesting because I have actually played a lot of the Devil May Cry games, but obviously I got into the Devil May Cry series. Like I started with the original DMC one because of the Resident Evil games, which is literally at the top, up at the bottom. So like they are both connected. Like I played both of these series in like close proximity to each other and everything. Devil May Cry 3 was like the game, like out of like all the like hack and slash games, I consider it to be like the top tier. Like I played the game in all levels, even like Dante Must Die, which is where literally you can die in one hit. And and the character all the bosses are like double the health and like everything, and I actually like 100% that game. Like that's like one of the games that I put so much time into it. I beat it on every single difficulty. I might have played maybe like over 100 hours, and this is a game that you can beat in maybe like 10 hours. So like I put so many hours into it. Same with another game that I'll go into later. But honestly, Devil May Cry 3 is like, it's such a good hack and slash game. The story is actually pretty good too. Like there's like an anime and there's a manga too, and like a bunch of stuff. And Devil May Cry like the series in general is like super good. Like I like DMC4 too, and Devil May Cry 5 was a good return into the series and everything. So I don't know. I'm really excited to see what they do next, because obviously DMC 5 isn't the end of the story. They left things for like open for like the next game or whatever. So I don't know. I'm trying to think like what else can I say about Devil May Cry as a series.
I mean, I think that was pretty good. I've only played the first one.
In fact, I'll say something like a fun fact. I know I got into Shin Megami Tensei because of Devil May Cry, because of Dante. Yeah, because like I remember watching a video where, how was it? I think it was like it was like a cutscene of like Dante chasing Demi-Fiend. And I was like, what is this from? And I looked it up, and I see Shin Megami Tensei 3. And literally that's how I got into Shin Megami Tensei. That was like my first Megaten game was because of. So like I got into DMC because of Resident Evil, and I got into Shin Megami Tensei because of Devil May Cry. So like if I guess that was the whole purpose of having Dante in Shin Megami Tensei 3, because of the popularity of it. So like I guess in a sense it worked because it got me into the series, right? So maybe one of the very few people that got into the series because of the Devil May Cry. I don't know. Let me know if like anybody else had like that connection to.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how many people really did jump into it because of that. Because like, yeah, I'm sure it was very popular at the time. You know what? Like Dante also works. He's half demon, right? So it actually fits in pretty well with SMT3 now I think about it.
Yeah, it works pretty well. Like he's a demon hunter, and like even the storyline quote they added for him on Shin Megami Tensei 3 makes sense. Like they hire him for a job. Literally like is a town infected. Is a town full of demons. Like it just makes perfect sense that he will be there, in like story wise and everything. So. I don't know. It's a really good game. If you haven't played any of the DMC games, strongly recommend them. I think you will like them. Have you played them?
I've beat the first one and I started playing the second one, but like halfway through,
the second one is super bad. Like it's the worst.
I quit. I literally quit halfway through. It was so weird, but like
the first one's pretty good. Something happened in development of the second game that it changed a lot. But check out the third one. I think it's the best one. But then 4 and 5 are pretty good too. 5 is super polished. Like it's super like action heavy. Like the weapons are super smooth. Like you like the Dark Souls games and that kind of stuff. DMC isn't as hard as Dark Souls, but there's still a level of difficulty. But it's about speed. Like it's about speed and combos.
I have the remaster, like the remaster collection. I think it's like 1 through 4. I have that on my PS4. I bought it on my PS3 originally, which is like 1 through 3, and I beat 1, got halfway through 2, and then I don't know what happened. I kind of quit. But I need to get back and play those. Like I said, I have it on my PS4, so I look forward to it. I have beat DMC. Like the one that's just called DMC, I have played that. The one that people didn't like.
The other one with the black hair Dante.
Yeah, well, like his hair eventually changes, but like
it's cool. I like that game. I don't think it's the worst thing. It's just it really strays a lot from like the DMC formula, like a storytelling perspective, because they changed a lot of things. But overall, as a game, it's pretty good. Like the gameplay's pretty smooth. I actually really like the gameplay in it. Also, man, I'm dropping all these hot takes right now, right? As a DMC fan, I say I like DMC.
Let's move on before we get any more fire.
So speaking of nostalgia, like I was telling you earlier, Final Fantasy X. I don't think it's the best Final Fantasy game, but I have so many good memories with that game. I such an emotional roller coaster too.
This is gonna suck. I really don't want you to spoil it for me because I know I'm gonna play it.
No. I won't spoil it, but it has such a good story. Like I know a lot of people like Final Fantasy VII, but I do believe 10 has a better story than 7.
The bits that I played at 10, like I really loved. I didn't play a whole lot, but I played like
what I like about this one is about Final Fantasy as a general thing is. It has the RPG aspects, but it also has a lot of mini games and a lot of like mini things to do. Like in this one, you can do like chocobo racing, and then you can also do blitzball, which is like its own thing. So blitzball is like a sports game that you do in the game, where it's literally soccer but underwater, like water polo, I guess. And like you throw the ball and you do tricks and everything, and it's like a whole thing. It's like a whole tournament. And as you're going through the story, there's different towns that you go to, and in every single town there's like a blitzball tournament going on, and in single one of them you have a team and you go and play, and you can change the characters and you can change the blitzball that you use and everything. And like some of the matches are super hard, but if you go all the way through until the end, you get like a special weapon from it too. And you actually get so many special weapons in this game for by doing different things. Like there's this town where there's like a bunch of lightning that falls in the town, and if you actually do perfect dodging on all of them, you get a weapon for that too. So
really?
So there's like so many like ways to unlock additional stuff and everything.
Dude, I barely tapped into that game then. I hardly played it. I barely played it.
It's a long game. I'll say probably one of the longest Final Fantasy games. But the story is such a good roller coaster. This is super. Honestly, it messed me up as a child playing this game, dude. Like the things that they deal with such heavy like subjects and everything. Because like all of them have like a heavy subject matter. But some of them, like 7, for example, there's just so many factions and things going on and everything going on that sometimes like it's easy to lose track of like some of the things. But 10 is straightforward, it's linear as hell, like from beginning to end. It's just a single story, and every character has like their own like story bits to themselves and everything. I honestly, it's such a good game. I like just thinking about it, like it's really one of my favorite games. Like I put it there for nostalgia's sake. It may not be the best Final Fantasy game, but I hold it very dear to my heart. It has such a like emotional aspects to them. Like, I cannot say it in any other way. It makes me tear up when I think about it. But
I thought about putting a Final Fantasy on there, but like I'm like going through all of them, right?
Yeah.
I beat the remaster. I've got all the Pixel remasters. I plan to like play them all and like make a video on it and like find the definitive. Like I've heard so many people say like, which Final Fantasy game's the best? Like I've heard 7, I've heard 8,
everybody
I've heard
has
9.
so many different. Everybody has a different one. I think it's typically the one that strikes a chord with you, because like I will say 6 is great, 4 is good, like really good. 7, 8, 9, 10, like literally like 7, 8, 9, and 10, they're like all really good.
They're all bangers, dude. He was on a roll then.
Yeah, like from 6 to 10, they're all really good. But they're so different. Like you look at 10 and you look at 9, they're like literally one number apart. Super different games. You look at 7 and you look at 8, and they're like completely different games with different art styles, and like the story like completely different, like more like fantasy like and everything. I don't know, to me after 10 I really wasn't as interested on the Final Fantasy series until maybe like 16 now. So we'll see with 16. We did a whole video on that if you guys are interested in checking that out
years ago.
No, just now, like
yeah, the podcast too. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Maybe like a month ago, we did a pretty good podcast talking about like the new Final Fantasy stuff and everything. So
yeah,
pretty cool. Check it out. Shameless plug right there, right? But I had to do it.
Why not? Why not?
Anyway, so I guess we're gonna move on into the next one. What can I say about this one? Pokemon. You know, the original Pokemon game, Red. I love those games. I and again, it's just nostalgia's sake. Like those two, like my row on the top are like my nostalgia. Like I grew up with Pokemon. Red. It's funny because my mom got us one Game Boy for me and my brother. So like, so for us to be able to like trade Pokemon or like enjoy the games together, we literally had to borrow a second Game Boy to like trade Pokemon. Because I will have my gameplay and my brother will have his gameplay. And
did Pokemon, one have blue, one have red?
Yeah. We always did that. We always had like the opposite. Like that's cool. I got silver, he got gold. I got sapphire, he got ruby. So like we always will get the other one. In fact, I hit him up and I was like, "Hey, do you want to get the new Pokemon, like the new ones that were coming out to get the combo, so we could get like the opposite ones?" Because he bought a Switch recently. Actually, he stopped playing. Like after the GameCube, he hasn't gamed anything, but he recently got a Switch, and I've been lending him games, and he's been buying more games and everything. So it's kind of cool seeing my brother like get back into gaming and everything. He has a child, so like I guess he plays with her and everything. So to him,
Pokemon's for everybody, so that works out.
So I hit him up and I was like, "You want to buy that game? Like, we can like play it together again and everything." Now that we both have our own console, so we have to share it.
Yeah, they can. Me and my brother were also doing that too. They're getting other versions. My friends as well. Like, 2 of us are getting Scarlet. 2 of us are getting Violet.
I always try to find out which one people are not getting. That way I can get that one. Because I think there's always going to be a popular color. Like red is, I feel like it's the most popular one out of like red and blue. But then you have like... that gold, I feel like it's the most popular out of like gold and silver. So like I always try to get the one that is not the most popular. But I think out of the new ones, for example, Violet and the other one, I feel like Violet is gonna be the least popular one. Not a lot of people like the purple color, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. This one I don't know. It's kind of decisive on it. I wasn't sure. Sword and Shield. I think Sword might have been the one. But yeah,
right. The shield Pokemon didn't look super cool. I didn't like the way he looked. I was like, he looks dumb. He literally looks like a dumb dog with like a shield for a head.
Yeah, it's interesting, but yeah, I don't know. Pokemon's been so up and down over the last like decade or two. I guess 2 decades. So I don't know. It's so weird because like I think like. Some of my best purchases have been Pokemon games, but also like my worst at the same time. Weirdly enough, but yeah,
right.
Pokemon can be good when it's good, and I think this next one could be great. We'll see.
Alrighty, well, I guess moving on into the next one, the most recent game, the one that is not nostalgia. It may just be the hype train. I don't know, but Elden Ring. You know what? There's just something about Elden Ring that like really clicked with me, like resonated with me. He came out at the perfect time. I've been waiting for this game for a long time. Since like the early leaks about like a R.R. Martin game with like Dark Souls stuff on it and everything. And obviously we already gushed about Dark Souls for like 10 minutes, so I'm not gonna gush too much about it. But Elden Ring just came out at the perfect time for me. Honestly, it's already, I can already tell you it's gonna be my game of the year. I know Persona 5 Royal is like being re-released on PC later on. That doesn't compare to the hype that I had with Elden Ring. Like honestly, like anything for like I haven't played a single game that even came close to Elden Ring this year. And I play like I know that even like The Last of Us, for example, it's gonna have like a remaster or whatever. And then Horizon Forbidden West came out this year, not even close to like anything else that I played this year. So Elden Ring just had like the perfect like everything that I wanted from the game. Is it a perfect game? No, but what I liked from the game, I really enjoyed it, and I put over like almost like 200 hours in it already. Like I play like I'm already like my 4th playthrough of the game. Shit. And like I find like new stuff all the time. Like I'll go back into it and like I find more stuff and I'm like, how am I still finding new stuff? Like
that's what I was gonna say. It's super replayable. Like there's such like a huge world. You make different characters, different builds. It's like similar to like my Borderlands 2 thing. It's like every playthrough can be different. You can change. Like I went from like being like a samurai to like being a magic. You know, like I went for like an enchantments with like dragons attacks and stuff, and they're so badass. But like the gameplay is completely different for them. And when I even did a tank character, and the thing about this game too is that it's such a flexible game. If you want to restructure your character, you can just go talk to an NPC and restructure the character on like literally as quickly as that. Yeah. So like if you want to try a new completely different character with like different, hell, even if you want to have your character to look different, like if you want to have a sex change, like I started with a male character and with a female character with like completely different stats and everything. So progressive from software's progressive, bro.
Yeah. So like I went all out, did whatever I wanted. It's such a fun game. I love how flexible that game is, but I'm gonna stop gushing about it for now.
One more thing though, something I really love about Elden Ring, because I guess I should compare it to like the other Souls games. One thing I do love about this is the open worldness of it, but also like you're in the open world doing that kind of stuff. But like I don't know what it was with this game, but I loved finding the caves, like the crypts with the skeletons, the different like caves that were like super dark. They were just really fun because you just come out of. It reminded me of Skyrim a bit. Like I don't know why I get like super giddy when I find a cave. I'm like, ooh, look at my cave.
It has that Skyrim aspect to it of like discovery and like finding
like exploration.
New stuff and like everything.
Fun.
Yeah, I feel like that's one thing that it nails so well. Especially because the map doesn't really tell you much. It's literally just a screenshot of a map, right? So
which
like
people complain about, but I like that. Like I said, I like when it's immersive. Like don't tell me how to play. Like it feels more immersive and like I'm in the zone of the game and like feeling the game when I'm not told that stuff. So Elden Ring really does it. Yeah,
he nailed it in a lot of aspects. I really love it. Okay, so moving on into another game that I really love. I guess the one that's in the middle, right? Persona 3. I really just love this game so much. It has like I have like so many emotional like connection with this game. When the game came out, when I found the game rather, it was like such a like an emotional time in my life, and I was going through a lot. My grandpa had passed away, or like he actually got diagnosed with cancer, and like he was going through treatment and everything for it, and I found the game throughout that time. So like I like it was like, and the game has like a lot of like themes about like death and like accepting death and everything. And honestly, that game got me through it. I know it's cheesy, but it really helped me.
It happens, dude.
Sometimes you find a game that really resonates with you, or like for some weird reason, like what is going on in your life, it just happens to be like what the theme of the game is, and it really did it for me. Like it helped me so much to go through like that tough time. And I really like. I may not be the best Persona game. I know some things like the tartarus and like the gameplay may not click with everyone, but honestly, it did so many good things for me. Like, I really love this game a lot, and I don't know, it's a really good game. Like the story is really good, the characters vibe with me so well. Like there's so many times that I'm like, yeah, I love these characters. I really like the way they interact with you, and like they connect with me so well and everything. So yeah, I love this game. I really do.
I can't wait to finally be able to like play it in a decent way. I had to play it on my PS3 and I didn't like that.
Oh yeah, it was kind of nag.
Yeah, but now it's like I assume it's coming out next year. I don't know. I assume it's coming like because the P3, P4, and P5 are releasing on like everything for fuck's sake. But like I assume P3 is going to be last. I think it'll go P5, P4, P3. I assume. I don't know, but like I'm just happy I finally get to play it because here, like I agree. I think that game might be my favorite Persona game. I just don't know it yet because I haven't been able to experience it. The bits that I did play on the PS3, like I just got to see like was it the dorms, I guess, or whatever. I got to see the dorms of some of the battles and stuff, and I actually really loved it. I think it's similar to like SMT3, where it's like it might lack in some gameplay aspects, but the story and environment like make up for it. So I don't know. Persona 3 might be my favorite. I just don't know it yet, right? So let us see. Also, female protagonist.
I guess we'll see once you start playing it and everything. I really like it. I think it's great. But also, like I said, I understand like people are like, oh, you know, I like the other ones or whatever. I'm like, hey, you know, if you like another game better, I don't actually have any problems with that. Like I don't care that anybody has like I don't like this game for whatever reason. That's fine. You know, like you're welcome not to like it. You know, like it's not every game has to be for everyone, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Every game has like their own like spin to it. Especially every Persona game has their own. Like I will say, like Persona 4 is actually one of those games that I really like, but it's also like very different from Persona 3. Like there are very different games with like way different characters and everything. And I don't know, like Persona 3 for me, Persona 4 for me, it's really hard to like relate with certain characters. I don't know why.
I agree. Yeah,
there's like something.
The mom.
Yeah,
the mom is watching the kid, just like I don't understand this at all.
Can't relate. I'm sorry, I don't have children. Or like some characters that are like, oh man, you know, like, or like there's some like Reset, for example, or stuff like that. Like, I know maybe with Persona 4, for example, there are a lot of characters that deal with like more teenager stuff, but like. Sure. I don't know. By the time that Persona 4 was a thing, at least Persona 4, by the time that I played Persona 4, I don't know. Actually, I think I actually played them very close to each other. I was 15 at the time, so Persona 3 and then Persona 4, like I played them super close to each other. Actually, I don't know why. I just don't. I don't connect with them as close to it. I do connect with Yosuke though in Persona 4, because I was a new kid. I had moved countries around that time too. So being like the new kid in a new city, like a new town, it's literally a town because I live in a town right now. Like it's not like a big city or anything like that, like a suburb kind of thing. So it does have like that style of like being the new kid, like nobody knows you and like nobody gives a fuck about you because nobody knows you. And
well, to be fair, like the protagonists are kind of like that too in a way, right?
Right. They are kind of like that too. Yeah, exactly. Like Yosuke and the protagonist, right? Because they're like the new people, right? They're the new people in town and everything. They don't know you. They don't know who you are, and like everybody like grew up with each other, right? Like they all know each other and everything, and you don't vibe with them because you don't know them. So yeah, it's cool. It's interesting. I haven't thought about it like that, but it really is interesting to like think about that perspective. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent right now. Not even supposed to talk about Persona 4.
The man loves P3. I want to play it. I really do.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good. I love the dorms things, like, because the dorm is a mixed dorm. Like, it's guys and girls, so like the same dorm will never happen in reality, but they're willing to give you the benefit of the doubt again in the game. But I always wanted to live in a dorm with like other people, and I never got a chance. Even in college, I lived like 5 minutes away from my college, so like I never got a chance to do that.
There's something similar to that. Like there's an apartment. Not apartment. There's like studio apartments. So it's like you kind of have like a house. It's almost as big as a house, but like there's common areas at the bottom. That's the kind of place that I want to live in the future. Where it's like studio. Like New York has a lot of those.
Right. Yeah, it'll be kind of cool. But I like the idea of it because it's really cool. Maybe because I like Harry Potter too. I like everything dorms. I relate it to like Harry Potter.
That's
so
true.
It's kind of like I like that. Oh, I'm not. I live on my own. No parents or whatever. But also like you have like friends and you have like roommates and people that you talk to all the time in this setting or whatever. So I like the setting of it. It's kind of cool. Anyway, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on from Persona.
Let's move on before we are here for an hour. Yeah.
So we're already here for an hour.
That's true. Yeah. So this was the one that I was like kind of about, but I'll let you go first. I'll let you go first on it.
Oh, I see how it is. All right, so Bloodborne. What?
I don't know, dog. This Bloodborne is kind of just like
super good.
It didn't do it for me. I don't know why.
What about it didn't do it for you? Was it the Gothic style? Because that's my favorite part. I love Gothic Bloodborne. Like Gothic Dark Souls is like super cool.
No, it's great.
Okay, what I like about it is I love Van Helsing, and Bloodborne is literally like Dark Souls Van Helsing. You're literally a hunter. You hunt demons or like werewolf-looking creatures, and literally like the second boss is a werewolf, right? And all these grotesque like demons that you fight, like I don't even know if you want to call them the monsters that you fight.
Beasts.
And like there's like a lot of like religious like ties to like the game and everything. I don't know how to explain it. The lore and like the style of the game vibes with me so much more than Dark Souls in general, because I like fantasy. But this thing, like, there's not many like games of like this time period with like this style and everything, and like I love the design of like the characters that you meet along the way. Like I love the outfit of the hunters. The weapons are also super cool. Like the axe, not axe. What is this? Like the saw thing that you have, like the saw weapon. There is like a saw, but it's like a larger weapon. You can change it into two weapons, and then you have your gun on the other side. There's no magic either, so you have to like.
Maybe that's why I don't like it.
I don't know. I like that so much. And then like gameplay itself is similar to Dark Souls, but it also has like its own spin to it and everything. It's also really fast paced too. Like if you're not careful, you will get fucked in like 3 hits. So like I don't know, there's so many things that I love about it, especially like that first area where you're in, where with all the different like crazy villagers and everything. Even reminds me of like Resident Evil 4 with all the crazy villagers attacking you and everything, and like you're trying to like find a way out from that original area and everything. I don't know, there's so many things about the game that I like about like the maybe, I don't know, it may not be for everyone, I guess, but to me like it's one of the most like stylistic like choices for like a game. and I don't know, even the lore of the hunters and like everything that's going on in the dreams and everything. The doll that you meet there, like she's like one of my favorite. Like
she's a good character.
Yeah, and like I love like how like the creepy everything is, but like it has like the same thing with like Shin Megami Tensei 3. It has like this atmosphere of like loneliness and like being by yourself, and everything is like super weird and creepy, and like literally like these crow dogs. There's some points that they're like half dog, half crows, or like half, yeah, literally like dogs with like crows for head, or like the other way around with dog heads with like crows and everything. Like weird like creature experiment things going on and everything.
Yeah,
and, like,
I guess.
If you get the bad ending, for example, on Bloodborne, it literally becomes a loop. And you start at the beginning of the game again because of your choices. Yeah. So like the way that it works is you get to a point where you make some choices, or you make no choices, I guess, and that turns into you go to the beginning to the end of the game, and your choice is bad, and it literally goes back to the beginning of the game where you began.
That's fucked up, like, kind of.
Yeah, it is.
That's good though.
Yeah, it is, but it makes perfect sense because in other Dark Souls games, you can start New Game Plus, right? And that's it, right? Like, oh, you beat this stuff and everything. But if you get the bad ending, literally the game starts all over from the beginning. Like no anything. Literally, you start feeling bad, and then you wake up at the hospital where you start at the beginning of the game.
Oh my god!
And it loops up, and everything is super hard. New Game Plus really definitely kicks your ass like super hard. Like it's not like other New Game Plus where it's kind of like, okay, maybe by New Game Plus 3 or 4 you really feel like how much harder the game is. But no, Bloodborne New Game Plus 1 is already like hard enough. The first boss kicked my ass like 4 times.
Okay, so I guess like my only gripes with this game is gameplay stuff. It's not the environment and story thing I actually really love. I actually like gothic looking houses. Like I want an old creepy looking house that looks like a Bloodborne house, like in the future. Like if I'm gonna live in a house, that's kind of what I want.
You know what this reminds me of? Now that I just thought about it, literally when you said creepy house, Bloodborne is like Dark Souls Tim Burton.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I'd agree with that. Yeah. I mean that's pretty much like what most movies like. Sleepy Hollow, for instance, kind of looks like that, and like Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah, definitely. But like, I guess it's just like the 30 frames bit, because that's the first thing I noticed. I played some of the other Souls games. Like I played Dark Souls 2 and I went straight to this. So the one I love the most, and I went straight to Bloodborne because so many people were telling me to do it, and like I couldn't get past 30 frames. I just don't know why. I never got used to it. Even towards like multiple bosses in, I still was like feeling the effects. Because you played it very modern. Like I played it back on the PlayStation 4 when it first came out. So like maybe that's probably why I'm willing to overlook the 30 FPS. Yeah. Because at the time, PlayStation 4 didn't have any 60 FPS games. Like I think there's maybe like very few games on the PS4 that will run on PS4 on 60 FPS. I think like Infamous Second Son was like the only released PS4 game at 60 frames.
Yeah, most of the games are 30 FPS. So to me at that time, yeah, but you are right. When I went from Elden Ring to Bloodborne this last time that I played it just now, it was a drag. Like I totally agree. Like I totally understand your point as far as like, man, 30 FPS versus 60, it's a big deal in Souls games.
But also, like, it's like jumping from 60 frames to 90, I don't really feel like going back to 60. I don't really feel it, but like going from 30 to 60 and back, like 60 back to 30, I feel it so much more. Like, because sometimes I play games on my PC at like 120 frames, and I'll notice my PC's lagging a little bit, and I'll bring it down to like 90 or like 80 or something, and I don't really notice it like too much at all. But like
exactly. Yeah, you're right.
60 to 30, I noticed so much more.
Within 60 and 90, there's a difference, obviously. But it's not to the point where like you're seeing like frames dropping. Good quote, like you're not seeing the frames dropping all the time. But from 60 to 30, the frame drops are really bad. Like it's very, very noticeable.
Yeah, like you feel it. I mean, really, you are. You're doing half as much. You know what I mean? That's like a half cut. Like at least from like 90 to 60, that's only a third of the frames. From 60 to 30, that's half of the frames gone. So you're playing it half the amount of frames like compared to the other games. So like, yeah, I guess maybe that's it. But also, maybe it's just because I like magic so much. I just gotta realize when I play Bloodborne, I need to not sort of go that route. One thing I will say is I love the weapons of Bloodborne. It's so cool. You have that saw thing, like it's basically like a switchblade and like flicks out and you like hit enemies with it. I love that.
Yeah,
and then you just turn around with a fucking cannon and blast somebody.
Yeah, they all have a second form, and I love them because there are so many crazy weapons in Bloodborne. Like actually very creative weapons. Midway to the game, I changed to this mace weapon, and it does have an electric attack to it. So like I guess that's the closest to magic that you're gonna get in the game, because there are some weapons that do like elemental damage of some sort. And this mace, I kept with the mace, but there are some really badass weapons. On another New Game Plus, I killed this character that has this like these dual wielding weapons, which actually I didn't know they could dual wield until like now, like literally my last playthrough. Because sometimes there's a lot of NPCs that start. That's one thing that I will say about Souls games. I am not good about like when they're telling me a quest. Like I literally I'll go to them and I'm like, okay, good, we talked, have a good day, and then like that was literally a conversation for a quest. But like if I don't like pay attention too much, I'll just like it'll go over my head. Like I literally wouldn't know that I'm being told a quest. I'm just not good at that. Like I literally like every time most quests I have to look it up, like especially for like Elden Ring this time, but I played it like blind, like I missed most of the quests.
Yeah, but then you play it again and you got it all.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't until like second and third playthrough that I was like, oh dude, there's like so much more content to the game, and that's awesome. Like that's the kind of games that I like to play, where like every single playthrough, like you were saying, is completely different. Like you take a different weapon, you go for like a heavy build or some other build, and it works completely different. I love that so much.
Yeah, because you gotta strategize different and whatnot as well. But yeah, I agree. But yeah, let's move on
from this, right? Gonna go for hours into which one of these. Okay, The Last of Us. It's one maybe a little bit cliche. I know a lot of people like The Last of Us. It was a popular game. To me, the thing about The Last of Us is it's the relationship of the characters. It's so really well done. Have you played it? I think we talked about this before.
I played like a couple hours of it. I have the remaster on my PS4 because I got it for free, right? Which is funny. The game's being remastered again. So, or whatever it's happening to it. But like, I played a couple of hours of it, and I don't know, I got busy or something. I need to go back and play. I've heard this game has a really good story and really good characters, and I'm sure I'll love it. I love Naughty Dog. I love the Uncharted games, so I feel like even gameplay-wise, I'll still love the game. But no, I haven't quite played it.
Yeah, so. I think the thing about this game is it came out in like this weird time where there was too many zombie games. I feel so like maybe a lot of people that were like interested in it were like, oh man, it's another zombie game. And in a core sense, it is just another zombie game. Like if you look at it from like that perspective, it really it has that zombie thing. You know, like that's the whole thing about it. You know, it's zombies with a twist, right? Because you can't just have a zombie game. You have to have a zombie game with like something else.
Yeah, and they do the zombies cool in this game. They do it differently. It's like the fungal infection, right?
Yeah, right. And it's a fun fact if you guys didn't know, but that fungal infection is a real infection. Like there is that fungal thing comes. I think they invade like insects, and they actually take over their bodies and everything, like just like in the game and everything. So it's like it has like a realistic.
That's what the Pokemon Paris is based off.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same. It's that same fungi thing, which is very interesting. Like in a sense, like you look at that, you're like, okay, that's like a realistic sense to it. But honestly, the best part about it is it's just the relationship with the characters. Like Joel and Ellie have like such a good dynamic of the characters. They sell it to you so well. Props to like the voice actors and everything, because I think that they are able to sell you this like father-daughter relationship, I guess, in a sense. And it's like now it became such a popular trope that so many games do it now, of like the badass like father and like, you know, like this adopted daughter kind of dynamic and everything. They have done it in so many games nowadays, but I think The Last of Us did it really well. Like it does add like that dynamic, and the relationship is really well done. Like you said, the gameplay is there. I think that after the last few Uncharted games, they really nailed the gameplay really good. So by the time The Last of Us 2 came out, which I know a lot of people feel very strongly about the second game, the gameplay is very smooth. Like it's some of the combos that you do with the different like weapons and the different ways you can do shootings and everything. I see some really creative kills out there. And I'm excited for the remake, although I don't feel like it's worth $70. Like I'm sorry, I know the game is in my list of my favorite games, but $70 or $60 for that game is a no for me. Like it's like literally a skip for me.
That's crazy, dude.
Until it's like I'm gonna be honest. If like Persona 5 Royal is gonna be $60, I'm also not buying that right now.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's supposed to have all the DLCs supposedly too, but even then, it's kind of like
I'm really shooting for a review code from Atlas for that one.
Same,
I'm like, I'm gonna have to get that PC review code because
I'm not buying any of them at that rate. You know what I mean? I'll just
because I'm like, okay, I'm cool. I'm excited for the idea of them, but like, I don't know, $60 is a steep price for a remaster or like a port, really, right? Yeah. And at least The Last of Us, we know is a remaster thing. They're reworking the gameplay and everything, but I don't know, bro. Like those prices, that should be like its own conversation, right? But holy crap, those are big prices. Like I think that's like way too much.
I agree fully, dude. It's crazy. It really is. It's not like Final Fantasy VII Remake, where like it's completely changed. It's just kind of changed for this remaster.
Yeah, exactly. Especially like if you look at something like Persona 5 Royal, like it's a new game, but like it's still like 3 years old. Like it's coming in 2019 in Japan, so like it's at least 3 years old now. So I'm like, I don't know, has it earned the $60 game price? I know a lot of people were like, yeah, I'll pay $60 again. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, even if it has DLC, it's still like, I don't know.
Yeah, because it's still the same game. At its core, it's literally the same game, but in another console. Which, to me, the only appeal to it is adding mods into the PC version and having like 60 FPS. But other than that, there's literally no other appeal to me. Like I know I love Persona 5, and we literally gushed about it for like 10 minutes, but I don't really replay a lot of games that are statically the same, and that's the difference between something like that and Elden Ring or any of the Souls games or Final Fantasy or like some game. There has to be something that makes the replay different. Yeah,
which I think we definitely made our point about that too.
And that thing about Persona 5 Royal is gonna be the same game, like whether you play like maybe you can get a different ending, like the different
demons, I guess. But.
On it, but there isn't enough endings to like for you to like justify multiple replays of it or something like that. And it's a really long game, like, just in a single playthrough. I don't know. I'm excited for it. I think it's a good idea, and I'm really happy for everybody that's gonna be able to play it for the first time or the second or third time or whatever time you want to play it. Just personally, $60 is a pretty steep price for me. For any of them. Like I know I'm talking about The Last of Us, but I think it ties to a lot of these like ports, remasters. Full price feels kind of harsh, I think.
I agree, dude.
The best case scenario will be if they do a free update, but knowing Atlas, I don't know. I don't know if that's something they were willing to do.
Probably not. I would hope that at least PS4 people could like get a remastered version on PS5. That's all I hope.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could happen. I mean, Sega did it with the Yakuza Like a Dragon game, Yakuza 7. It got a free update on the PS5 and I think on Xbox too.
That's good.
I don't know. It could be a thing. We'll see, I guess. But I'm gonna move on to the next one. I think I have Bioshock.
Yes, dude. This was one that I was like, I almost put this on my list, and I like even now I'm like, I maybe would have swapped one out for Bioshock.
Bioshock 1 has one of the most interesting story beats, and like going back to the style of games, Bioshock has such a good style of like the gameplay is interesting, like the whole like powers with the salt and everything, and like the style of the like being like an underwater city on like a specific time period that is not typically used. The way the weapons look are pretty cool too. I know there's some people that don't like Bioshock Infinite for some reason, but I love the style of the game. It may have like its own issues with like the story and everything, but styles alone, like it's so unique, and like I really want another one of them, but I don't know. Like 2K will probably fuck it up if they do another one. To be honest,
I want another one done well. Yeah,
exactly. I want if you're gonna do one, it better be done well. Otherwise, I don't want it. You know, like it's just as simple as that. Like it better be done well, or I just do not want it. But the first one had like such a creative like storytelling. At the very end of the game, I was like, what? You know, like. It really
crazy ending.
Mind fucked me. I was like, holy crap, what the hell? Like I was pretty like actually Bloodorne did something similar at the end of the game too. So like they're like that's what I like about certain games, when they do something interesting that by the end of the game it really justifies like the whole game. Like the ending itself, like it's mind blowing or crazy enough that I'll be like, wow, they really did such an interesting concept for it.
Yeah, it ties in super well. Like, I fully agree. This game has gameplay, fucking graphics, environment, sound design is good. Like, just like trickling of the water, the gunshots, voice act. There's almost nothing in this game.
It's crazy to think. This is a PS3 game, right?
Huh?
Is this a PS3 or a PS2 game?
It's a PS3 game, but it was like early PS3. I remember this coming out when Call of Duty 4 came out. Yeah. So like 2007 or 8. Crazy enough.
Yeah, it's a PS3 game, Xbox 360. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, this game, honestly, like you said, it looks super well for a PS3 game. I think it's one of those games that, because of the art style, it doesn't really matter whether you play it on PS3 or like on PC or anything, because he keeps the art style of it. So like the art style is pretty unique too. It's kind of like the way that I feel about Borderlands 2 earlier. Because it has such a unique art style. Like sure, it's realistic looking, but like the scenery of it and the weapons and like the Big Daddy and all that, it's weird enough. It's odd enough that it's not just like it justifies looking the way it does.
Well, like the environment and stuff too, it's so creepy and weird, and you could like walk around and see the story of things happening. Like the very beginning where you go up this elevator and you walk like across this like sort of like balcony like thing. And it's like, yeah, the game isn't just like a shooter. Like there's an actual story and everything you're supposed to see there as well. And it's like a mom and she's like rocking a cradle and it has like a gun in it. So it just has like weird story elements.
Yeah, it has some really weird stuff.
You can just like watch the environment of the people and see like the story unfold and different things happen.
Yeah.
Like you're not just constantly shooting. It's not like a Call of Duty story game, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but you find like the voice recordings and everything, and you see like all this crazy stuff happening. Like this is supposed to be like a utopia, like a fallen utopia, where like capitalism is like at 100%, like, you know, like everything is a capitalist society and everything, and like how that collapse and everything. It's really, really interesting how how they created the story. Like I really enjoyed the story. Like at some point I was really interested on what they did with the story and everything, like lore wise and everything. So yeah, I like it a whole lot. It's one of my favorite games. Obviously, it's here.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, this is one of the ones I thought about putting in mind. If you guys want to play Bioshock 1, 2, and Infinite, they're all in a remaster, and it's like it goes for like $20. It's really cheap.
Yeah, even Infinite. I even like Infinite. I know there are again some things about Infinite that wasn't super good or anything, but I do like certain things on Infinite.
Infinite has good DLC as well. It brings you back to like the first places and stuff, like underwater. It's really good DLC. But like, yeah, I agree. Like, dude, Bioshock 1. Yeah, all of them are good, but we picked that
one though. But one really just two barely justifies its existence. Although it's still pretty good, pretty solid.
Yeah.
But I think 1 was just like one of those games that even if it was just being one game, like if you had just done Bioshock 1, that's still like enough for like a game, a series or something.
I agree. I fully agree, dude.
All right. Well, I guess I want to jump into the last one that I have here, Resident Evil 2. This is one that I actually contemplated multiple Resident Evil games. Resident Evil, like I mentioned before, literally connected me to so many other series. So, like, to me, Resident Evil is like one of those that is like the bridge point, I guess, for like so many other gaming things. The fact that I even play any shooter games is because of Resident Evil. Like, Resident Evil 2 was it was actually my one of my first games, period. Besides Pokemon, I think Resident Evil 2, the first time that I played the game was Resident Evil 1. Actually, I went over to one of my friend's house, and he was playing Resident Evil 1, and literally I will go to his house to watch him play the games. And at the time I was pretty young, and they were pretty scary game, quote. I mean, like, obviously they're like not scary. Like, you look at them, you're like, that's really obviously fake blood. But as a child, you know, like, not having played video games, because my mom was really against video games, like against like having video games and everything. In fact, to this day, she regrets buying me a PlayStation 2. She's like, this is the worst mistake of my life. I was like,
jeez.
Really, she thinks that buying me a console, like the first PlayStation, I think she got me a PlayStation 1 and a PlayStation 2 at the same time. So the PlayStation 2 was already a thing by the time that I started playing games. And she really does regret me buying one. But Resident Evil 2 is like one game that it's so ingrained in my head. And I love it so much. I played it so many times. Resident Evil 4, which is the other one that I was gonna put there. I was gonna put it there because literally that game, like Resident Evil 4, from that I in my list here alone, because of that I played Devil May Cry 3, the whole Shin Megami Tensei games, Persona, The Last of Us, Bioshock, like all those games, I like them because of Resident Evil. So like, I know it's like in some weird way, but they are all somewhat connected to me, that I'm like, if I hadn't played Resident Evil 2, I probably wouldn't even be here doing a podcast about it. So like,
that's crazy, dude. That game links you to everything.
Yeah, it really links to like everything else. So like, it marked like my love for horror games. It marked my love for like what I like about like an atmospheric game with like horror aspects to it and everything. I don't know. It's a awesome series. I know a lot of people maybe don't like the zombie games or whatever, but even if I don't like zombie games nowadays, like there are like not many zombie games that I'm willing to play nowadays. I don't know. I have such a attachment to the series and everything. Resident Evil 4 is also another game. Like altogether, like I love that game so much. I played it so many times. I did like everything on it. I did all the levels. I did all the hardest difficulty. Literally same thing as Devil May Cry 3. Like I played it on every level, and unlocked every weapon, did everything. And I did it twice because my memory card died eventually. I don't know if you guys know that, but memory cards can die over time. You know, the memory, the battery, or like the chip inside of it can go bad. So I lost everything, and I had to start over again from like a lot of them. Persona 3, actually, I had to replay that game as well. In fact, my memory card broke while I was playing Persona 4.
That's why I hate it. No, I'm kidding.
So the way that it happened is it wouldn't save farther than a certain thing. I was actually half the way through the game. There's this character whose whole dungeon is like Dragon Quest inspired, and they have like a lot of references to like Mario and the Legend of Zelda, D&D. They have like a lot of references of that era of gaming. And anyway, so that dungeon, somehow it like broke. So it wouldn't save any further than that. So if I wanted to I finished Persona 4, I actually had to play it all the way through from that point on. Like I couldn't turn off my PlayStation.
That's so weird. What the hell?
Yeah,
that's such a strange thing.
Yeah, so like I literally like after doing that, I had to fight that boss maybe 5 times because I will die. Like something will happen and I will die and go back to that same spot.
Oh yeah, because he couldn't save.
Yeah,
that's terrible. Dude.
Yeah. So like all the way to the end, I couldn't afford a single failure. Any failure will reset me to that point of the game.
That's so bad.
Yeah, it sucked. It sucked, but I actually pulled through. Like I went and did all the way to like the quote perfect ending on it. And I messed up too because I got like there's a point in the story where you have to identify the killer of the game. Yeah. And I did the wrong choice the first time, and the game kind of ended. You know, that's what happens. You do the wrong thing, the game kind of just ends. So I was like, "That's no way. That's it." And I looked it up, and of course it wasn't. So load it up again, and had to start over again from like that point on. I was like a master of speed running Persona 4 because I would skip all the dialogue and like, I just go to the dungeons really fast and just grind at the point that I was. Honestly, it was a pain in the butt, but yeah, that was my experience. Those are my favorite games.
It's like starting up Pokemon again and having to do all that shit, just like mashing it, talking
what?
to the professor.
Yeah, just when you were talking about Heart Gold, you made me want to go back and boot up my copy of Soul Silver.
I kind of want to play like Bioshock. That's weird, but dude, yeah, I don't know. I think we have some solid. Let's just say like we got some video game taste. Like, can we agree on that? I don't think. Other than Bloodorne, that's the only one that I'd be like kind of on. But other than that, like I still love like all the games you put there. I'm sure I'd enjoy them. Like Final Fantasy X, I'm sure I'll love. Like I need to beat it. Like same thing with like P3. I'm sure I'll love it too. I just need to beat it. Like who knows? Maybe those would have been in mine, but I just haven't done all of them yet. But
yeah. I thought you had some pretty good choices too. Like all of them, I was like, yeah, I can see those. Those are pretty good games. Pretty solid. Solid choices.
I guess if I had to ask though, if you had to put a multiplayer game on there, what would you put?
Oh man, that's a good question. Probably Overwatch 2. Oh no. Actually, no. I take it back. The one multiplayer game that I played the most, that I still to this day love, is Titanfall 2.
Oh yeah, Timest 2 is a pretty good one.
Yeah, it's really good. I love the mechs, like being able to like customize your mech and the wall running. Like honestly, so many of the things that people like about what is this other game by the same people? It's a battle royale, Apex Legends. A lot of the things that people like about Apex Legends, it's honestly literally just from the other game. Like
they took it all from it.
Yeah. Literally most of its stuff is literally the same from that game. In fact, I still believe that Titanfall 2 is a better game because of the mechs aspect. It adds like a layer of like planning to the game because at any point, any of your enemies could pull up a giant mech and start killing people off. So you have to kind of time it right so you can have a giant mech battle with them and everything. Honestly,
it's so anime sounding.
Yeah, it's so anime sounding, right? But like, it's so smooth. And then the story, like I'm cheating a little bit because this one has such a good heart wrenching campaign. Like I got attached to. So the story is about you. Something happens and everything, and you are with your AI. So there's an AI that is your mech. Basically, your mech is with you at all time. Yeah. And you grow attached to the mech, like the mech and you have like such a good relationship. It's almost like think of like a person and a dog, you know, like have like that nice relationship or like a friend, I guess, but you know, it's like an inanimate object, you know. And I want to spoil it so bad, but something happens to your mech and like I cried for the mech. I was like,
damn.
Yeah, it was like honestly such a good story too. Like short campaign, but crazy stuff like time traveling and like a bunch of like crazy shit going on, like super sci-fi. That made me, that team of developers have actually really good storytelling. Like they did Jedi Fallen Order 2, and it's also another good game. Like if you haven't played if you like Souls and Star Wars, you should play it. It's so good.
I had plans to play. I loved the Forced Unleashed games. I played both those like when I was younger when they came out. I love those too. So yeah.
It's literally Star Wars Souls. Sorry about that. I'm going on a tangent again. Go ahead.
You're good. But yeah, I'll have to play it. There's like, hopefully this helped any of you out there if you're looking for a good game to play. Like, yeah, here's a strong list. I feel like 18 games. Pretty solid games, I'd say.
Yeah, I think pretty solid list. Let us know in the comments down below your favorite games. Do your own 9x9. You know, let us know what games you buy with, which games that you love or have like good stories with and everything. We'll be happy to like read through the comments and see what you guys think about all this. Honestly, we thought if we were gonna do an hour podcast, almost 2 hours.
Yeah, bro. Holy shit! This is our longest episode. But you know what? That's fine. I mean, we had a lot to talk about, so that's good.
Yeah, we really had a lot of things to talk about with this one. I think it's just a lot of good memories, right? A lot of good things to talk about with this kind of game. So, yeah, check it out, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. Like, subscribe. You know, we're trying to get to 200 subscribers. We're getting there.
Thank you, everyone.